I really enjoyed AEW Double or Nothing. First question, how does it make you feel when Tony Khan or MJF mentions the WWE in a promo? Or not in a promo?
Oh, you coming in hot with this one, man. You coming in hot with this one. So AEW Forbidden Door 2024 is happening on June 30th, and I'll be there. I know, hard to believe. Sooplex is actually going to attend an AEW pay-per-view when he's critiquing it so highly. Yes, I'm actually going. Now, this shirt that you just saw actually is from the first Forbidden Door in 2022 in Chicago, Illinois. This shirt also is when I went to AEW All Out in Chicago, Illinois of last year, because I just love going to AEW shows. I may be critical of the product now, but if there's one thing AEW will do is deliver on their pay-per-views, and I don't feel like I ever lose out on money when I go to their pay-per-views. I've been to the first Forbidden Door, the second Forbidden Door in Toronto, Canada last year. That's where this picture of me, Santy Mr. Tesca Man, comes from. And I'll be going to the third one in Long Island, New York. So I'm pretty excited about that. And I figured, you know what? Since I'm going to Forbidden Door, why don't I give AEW Dynamite another chance? And I've been watching every AEW Dynamite that's happened in the last 2 weeks, and I would say I enjoy it overall. I mean, I don't love the product, but you know, I'm liking what I'm seeing. And I figured because of that, I saw another wrestling creator, another small wrestling creator. I'm really loving the uprise in new upcoming wrestling content creators, like this guy, like Noviak. There was another black content creator I saw a few days ago. He did like a 10 years later WWE video. I can't remember his name for the life of me, but if he comes across my feed again, I'll be sure to subscribe and maybe do a video on him too. I saw this one creator who appears on my feed a lot. I had to subscribe to him maybe a couple weeks ago. Dporticus. He has some questions for AEW fans. And as somebody who is not only an AEW fan, but has the duality of being able to critique a product even when they enjoy it, I figured I'm more than qualified to talk about it. Dporticus, what issues do you have? And what questions do you have for an AEW fan like myself?
It's very important that you click on this video with your guard down. I have no interest.
Oh boy. My guard is up, brother. My guard is up.
Or intention of attacking.
I gotta say bruv now. Will Ospreay has got me saying bruv, not everyday lingo, but I find myself saying the word bruv more than I should. So, Will Ospreay, quite the influential wrestler he is.
Or insulting the show that brings you joy. I ask all of these questions in good faith.
Yo, shout out to the dog in the left corner, man.
As a fairly new pro wrestling diehard fan. Now, in my last video, I gave you guys my impressions on the AEW show after watching it for the first time.
Oh yeah, he's just got back into wrestling. And you know what I find very cool about his channel, and this is why his channel is blowing up, is we're seeing the perspective of someone who's just getting back into professional wrestling. Like, it's very, like, I feel like a lot of wrestling fans kind of have it in their nature to want to spread the word, spread the love of professional wrestling, either with friends or with people who used to be fans, people who aren't really fans. They kind of don't stray away from a little bit. But we don't have anybody in the creator space that is just getting into the product and actually talking about it. Everyone who talks about wrestling is already a fan. They're a hardcore fan. Like, it's hardcore fans that come online and talk about it. Not too often do you see people who are fresh to the product coming on here and talking about it. And I think that's why I did so well with my New Japan content in the very beginning of 2018, because I was new to the product and people had fun guiding me and teaching me in the comment sections about all the storylines. You know what I mean? Like, there's psychology behind this content strategy, and I fuck with it. I see why he's doing so well, and I think he's going to do very, very well in the future with the videos he's doing now.
About 99% of you appreciated the unbiased approach and me giving my honest feedback. After seeing how well that was received by AEW fans, I feel comfortable.
Oh man, don't critique AEW too much, man. The Twitter warriors will come after you.
Giving you guys a few questions that I have been wondering since I watched Double or Nothing. If you don't feel like going back to watch that video, that's fine. I understand. I will let you know right now that the very short of it is that I did notice a ton of differences, but I really did enjoy myself as a year-long watching diehard WWE fan.
Hell yeah,
I really
brother.
enjoyed AEW Double or Nothing. First question. How does it make you feel when Tony Khan or MJF mentions the WWE in a promo? Or not in a promo?
Oh, you coming in hot with this one, man. You coming in hot with this one. How does it make me feel when AEW name drops WWE? Okay, here's the thing. So, let me go in the center here. So, this has happened so many times on AEW television that I'm almost become just kind of numb to it. Like, it used to be, like, in the very beginning of 2019, it was like, oh my God, they said WWE. It was like an oh my God moment. And it was an oh my God moment for about 2 years. About 2021 was when it started to become like, all right, calm down a little bit. Let's focus on your own product. You got CM Punk, you got Bryan Danielson, you got Adam Cole. You got most of the WWE roster on your show. You don't have a reason to keep on name dropping them. Just focus on your own show. I don't think it ever got to the point where it personally pissed me off, the way I see some people get legitimately angry and pissed off online whenever AEW name drops WWE. It doesn't make me mad. I'm at the point now where it's like they do this so often, I'm just kind of used to it. Does it bother me? Not really. Would I prefer them stop doing it? Yeah. I mean, I honestly think, again, it's better to focus on your own product, because WWE, how many times has WWE actually name dropped AEW on television? One time when they were first starting up. I think it was a Sami Zayn promo.
I'd much rather hold all of you accountable for your crap. Quite frankly, you could ask me anything. You could have asked me about AEW.
That might have been the only time I can ever remember the words the AEW coming out of anybody's mouth on WWE television. I'm just saying. I mean, if WWE can do it, AEW can definitely do it. But you know, I feel like there's this what's the word I'm looking for? There's this inner, maybe not turmoil. There's this inner need for some of the talent on the roster to have like a little get back at their previous employer, or a little get back at the person who was trying to get them but didn't quite get them. And obviously, you know, it's a way to pledge your loyalty to AEW. I understand it from a talent perspective, but if WWE doesn't do it, you really don't have too much of a reason to do it now either, especially 5 years later, other than you just look kind of petty.
An interview. If you missed it, at Double or Nothing, MJF said something along the lines of he didn't need New Japan and he didn't need Vince McMahon to build. That
kind of was a nice bar MJF cut. I'll be honest, that was a nice bar he dropped.
Build who he was, or something along those lines. And when I think about Tony Khan, I think about the NFL draft, when he made the statement saying that AEW was Pepsi and WWE was Harvey Weinstein.
That was such a dumb fucking comment. I don't know why he said like that. Like Tony Khan, when he says stuff like that, that's what makes me angry. It's like, bro, what are you talking about? Why are you comparing WWE to Harvey Weinstein? And I understand, oh, maybe he was talking about Vince, then say Vince. Don't say all of WWE is Harvey Weinstein. Like that's just that's when you look like a petty Bush League owner. That's when you start to look like that, when you say stuff like that.
I'm really curious if...
Like, I don't find any of that funny, enjoyable, like, oh my God, he got you! Like, I don't find it... No.
That's something that does get some, like, is that really good heat with the crowd? And is that something that...
It's good heat with the live crowd. The live crowd is good heat with them. If you go on Twitter, which Twitter makes up, like, what, 7% of wrestling fans? They don't like it. You go on TikTok, maybe makes up 10%, 15%. They don't like it. You go on YouTube, largely they don't like it. I think the vocal majority does not like it. But it's the TV crowd that loves it, because in the moment you hear it and you're like, oh my God, it's a WWE mention. So, yeah, I think it's just the live crowd.
That feels good? Or is that something that the more tribalistic side of the fan base attaches to? Because from the outside...
Definitely the tribalistic side.
And again, I want to be very clear. I'm a new fan. I don't know if this is something that WWE has done. If they've been doing it while I've been watching.
WWE has done it like one time. To my knowledge, they have done it one time. They may have made a little hints, little nods, but it's very few and far between when they do stuff like that. I could count on one hand. Only one hand. AEW, I would need 4 people to count on the amount of hands and fingers that I've heard WWE or WWE mention on AEW television in the last 5 years.
If they've been mentioning AEW, I haven't noticed. Maybe there have been references that went over my head. Maybe names were dropped that I just assumed were former WWE wrestlers?
I think they just worry about their own product. I mean, obviously, if AEW is impeding, they're going to fuck with them. And they did that in the very beginning. You don't see that as much anymore. But they don't do, like, petty jabs on air.
So it's very possible that the WWE,
which is more professional,
does this just as much, and it's completely going over my head. So I'm not trying to make this seem like I'm saying AEW is doing this and WWE must be innocent. But from the outside, as someone who wants to enjoy both shows at this point, it does feel a little weird to watch and feel like jabs are being taken at the show that I enjoy.
You know, I never saw it from that perspective. As a newer fan, how does that come across to you when you're seeing the jabs? Huh. That's interesting. I never actually thought about it that way.
MJF one I don't really care too much about. I think taking a shot at Vince is pretty fair game at this point. Heck, even CM Punk did it on Raw. I think it was like a month ago when he was talking to Drew. But the one at the NFL draft, the Harvey Weinstein thing, it comes off as pretty weird to me as someone on the outside. It is weird. It was actually one of the reasons I was a little hesitant to watch AEW.
See, tribalists don't want to hear that. But, you know what I mean? Newer wrestling fans, that stuff might deter them.
Comments like that feel like cheap heat to keep people happy who are already watching your show, but can be off-putting to those who are not currently watching the show, and I'm a prime example of that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
AEW has been on my radar as something I wanted to check out, but seeing a comment like that, taking a stab, a very weird stab at something that I get a lot of joy out of, kind of made the idea of watching AEW feel like, okay, well, why would I go watch that? The person running it, what? There's a real possibility I'm just being a little oversensitive. I don't know. Maybe that is totally fine. Maybe WWE.
Hey, there are some wrestling fans that don't think like that, but there are fans that think like you. So I don't think it's really being oversensitive. I think it's just being like, you know what I mean? It'd be the same way if you had two friends and one of your friends hates the one guy you're also friends with. You would find that weird. You would be like, yo, man, that's my boy. Like, chill out. Like, you know what I mean? You could still like both of them, but it's like, yo, like, I do chill with this guy. Like, calm down, Brody.
WWE fans don't really care about it, but it does seem like it usually is the kind of thing that sparks argument between the two fan bases. And I know there have been clips in the past of them doing the same thing before where they refer the WWE. You're more than welcome as an AEW fan to maybe mention where I could find a moment where WWE has done the same. Again, I'm really not trying to say that this is only one-sided, but my main question is, how does it make you feel as a fan when your show shoots at the other show? And this can be for WWE fans as well if it's going both ways. I can confidently say, especially after watching AEW and enjoying the pay-per-view, if I saw Triple H come out and just like, I don't know, like flex on AEW for like attendance or something, like I wouldn't enjoy that. That would feel weird. I guess
they flex their attendance just to inflate their ego and make themselves look good. They don't do it to make AEW look inferior, so you don't have to worry about that.
This is a secondary question for that. Does that happen with AEW or WWE to any other shows? Or is it these two companies specifically that are kind of butting heads here? I promise you I was asking that question in good faith, so please don't attack me too hard.
I believe you.
Question number 2. This is more in regards to the extreme nature that I saw when I was watching Double or Nothing.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Those of you who maybe have been watching AEW for years now, is there any point where you feel like maybe you've gotten a little bit numb to the extreme side of the action?
A little bit. I would say 50-50. AEW, they tend to push the envelope a lot when it comes to extreme rules, falls count anywhere, no holds barred, or death matches. They push the envelope, and I think every year I see something new from AEW that they didn't do the previous, and something that WWE would never do. I think a Swerve versus Hangman Page from last year's death match, grotesque. Just one of the nastiest televised matches I've ever seen. This year's Anarchy in Arena, Jungle Boy being set on fire. Jack Perry being set on fire. I know he was drenched in flame retardant, but still. You go years back, drenched in blood, Eddie Kingston coming out to ring with a gas canister and trying to pour oil onto Chris Jericho and light him on fire. Like, that's fucking insane. That you don't see this shit on WWE. And some of it does get too much for me because you could call me a bitch. I don't really care. I don't like excessive amounts of blood. I don't like excessive, like, bloody spots. I don't. Every once in a while, I'll bite. I'll indulge. I don't like lots of it. It makes me a little squeamish. Have I become numb to it? I would say because AEW tends to not do redundant and repetitive spots, they tend to get creative with it. You could attribute that probably to Darby Allin for the reason why we see so many of them. I'm going to say I am not numb to it. I do like to think that in some ways, if they dialed it back, maybe it would be more beneficial to their roster and not getting hurt the way they do. But as far as like, am I numb to it? Some ways I want to say yes, but largely I'm going to say no. I think it's because they managed to come up with new ways to push the envelope. So it kind of keeps me on my toes. Like, I don't ask myself going into a show, oh, what are they going to do next to impress me with all the blood and stupid Darby Allin spots? I don't ever go in with that mindset. But once it's time and the bell rings, then I'm like, oh boy, what am I in for this time? But I say that in like a good way and a bad way, if that makes sense.
Is it possible that AEW could do what they're doing, keep upping it, and get to a point where they couldn't really up it any higher without seriously injuring someone consistently?
Well, we did see Adam Copeland jump off of a steel cage. That spot pisses me off to this day. We did see Adam Copeland wrap Malachi Black in barbed wire, go to a top of a 15-foot steel cage, and go for a dive. Now, had Adam Copeland committed to that body splash, he would have split himself open on the barbed wire and probably damn near disemboweled himself. So thank God he actually went feet first, but now look what happened. He basically broke his entire leg. So to that question, would they ever get to a point where they can't? They probably will. I don't know when, because it's been 5 years and they still are finding ways to push the envelope. But at some point they will probably run out of like safe, extreme ways to pull off these stunts before they get to spots where it's like, all right, let's not have people die. And sometimes I fear for these people's lives. I'll be honest. Like Darby Allin sometimes, Matt Hardy, that one time he was on the top of that scaffold and fell off and bumped his head. Like there are times when I watch AEW and I legitimately get angry as a fan, because why the fuck are you doing these spots? Like, you could have died. You could have seriously hurt yourself. And as a fan, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see you hurt yourself. For real, for real. This is wrestling. It's scripted. I understand it's not fake, but it's scripted. It's scripted fighting. They're not supposed to be actually going out there and fucking trying to kill each other. I don't want to see that. Do I want to see some blood? Yeah, I want to see some blood here and there. I want to see a cool spot here and there, but I don't want to see you fucking break your bones trying to pull this shit off. If that's what gets involved, if that's what's going to happen, please, by all means, don't do it. Please don't do it. That's where I come from as a fan. I enjoy what you do, but I don't want to see you go as far to an extent to put your body on the line for my enjoyment, because you can make me enjoy your work without doing a lot of the shit you already do right now. Real shit. So, would they get to a point? I think they would. I don't know when that is. But hopefully they do get to a point where they start to dial it back a little bit more. And a little bit more. And a little bit more. And a little bit more. Because I think when the injuries start stacking up, and we're starting to see it now, that's when Tony Khan's going to have to really look at the way the roster is doing these matches and say, how can we, as a company, protect the talent? But I don't know. That's definitely a Tony Khan call, not a me call.
It's totally natural in pretty much anything. When you start to see something a lot, it stops having the effect that it might have. I have heard some AEW fans say in the past that they see blood all the time on AEW, so it doesn't really faze them anymore.
They have dialed it back some. I will say they've dialed back the blood week to week in the last 6 months, I would say. Because there was a time where every fucking week, Jon Moxley was bleeding. Every week, Cody Rhodes, when he was in AEW, he was bleeding. And I think we have seen that kind of stop ever since Jon Moxley got injured back in September. I think we don't... Well, I don't think. I know from the Dynamites I've seen. I know I have not seen every Dynamite this year. I know I've not seen every Dynamite last year. But from the Dynamites and Collisions I've seen, I think we've seen some less blood. Now, for pay-per-views, I No, we see blood every pay-per-view. But for the TV, I think we've seen less, and I do applaud them for that. I hope they keep it up.
Anymore. But me as a WWE fan, blood doesn't really come up that much more than just a little bit on weekly shows, and sometimes it happens on PLEs. So when I go back and I'm like watching some of these old matches on my Patreon and I see someone dripping blood on the mat, those are the kind of things that completely shock me still. So it feels totally reasonable that as an AEW fan, if they are doing that kind of thing often, even if it's not every show, but if it's still pretty often, I could see why you'd start to feel numb to it. And does that affect your viewing experience or your enjoyment at all? I could also see why, if you're really used to that, it would be tough to watch other shows. I haven't gotten to really watch any current day TNA or New Japan or really anything else except...
Yo, shout out to TNA Impact Wrestling for allowing content creators to stream the show like picture in picture. Shout out to TNA, man.
The WWE at this point, but if you're used to the action and the violence that you see on AEW, I could see that making it a lot tougher to watch some of these other shows. By the way, speaking of the Patreon, we are entering a new month, which means all free members, there will be a new match for you guys to watch completely free.
Everyone go check out his Patreon if you have not already, if you're looking for some content to indulge in.
You're welcome to join the Patreon as a free member and watch the free match of the month. And if you decide you enjoy yourself, you're welcome to upgrade at any time or just enjoy the freebie.
Also, brother, be careful posting this type of stuff on YouTube, because if the wrong person gets a hold of that in WWE and they see you are live reacting to their content on a paid tier, they could lobby some serious copyright your way. So just be a little careful about you touting us on your YouTube channel.
Be every month. But anyway, my next question is focused a little bit around the cost. I brought up one of my issues when I was talking about buying Double or Nothing, that $49.99 seemed like a lot.
It is a lot. Okay.
And a lot of you were really helpful in the comments, and you were saying that maybe next time I should look into getting a VPN or trying to purchase it through a VPN.
You know damn well someone recommended that you bootleg that shit. You know damn well people did. I think we all been there.
I don't know if...
Man, not me. I'm a good Samaritan. I pay for all my shows. I would never, ever, ever bootleg an AEW show.
If that's legal. So if it's not, I definitely will not be doing that. But basically you said there were other ways to do it. You could watch it at like a Dave & Buster's, or you could, pool your money with some buddies and watch it together. That's understandable.
But sometimes you want to watch from the comfort of your own home.
But not everybody has those options. I'm sure there's a lot of people that end up having to watch it on their own, or just watching it as part of their family. Now I looked at...
And this is where live streamers like myself come in. For the people who may not be able to afford the show, they'll come into a live streamer, a live reactor like a Santi Zap, a Mini Portable, a Wheezy Blonde, Mr. Task, a Sooplex. And they'll watch the stream with us, because if we're actually watching it, you can hear the audio, we're giving you reactions. It's like we're hanging out, we're watching the show together. So that's where we come in handy. For the people who don't want to pay $50 a month, every other month, or whatever their philosophy is. Going into the end of the year, it's going to be every month, which I'm not ready for. And I hope this max deal comes together so I don't have to pay $50 every fucking month.
I've done a couple of different websites, and I don't even know if any of them were actually the AEW website, but a few different sources listed that in 2024, AEW is going to have anywhere from 9 to 15 pay-per-views. The lowest one I saw listed for the year was 9. The highest was 15. That means
I can tell you right now, they're not doing 15 pay-per-views, because there's only 12 months in a year, and AEW doesn't even like doing one. Hold on. January, there was no pay-per-view. February, there was no pay-per-view. March, so you already can't even get to 12, because 2 months out of the year, they haven't done one. They're not even doing one. They are doing one this month. So yeah, unless they do 2 pay-per-views in 2 months, like they're already doing All In and All Out in the month of August, September. But unless they do like 2 pay-per-views in the month of like October or November or December, they're not going to hit 15. So I can tell you right now, that's not going to happen. Realistically, maybe 12, but not 15.
Somewhere in that window is true. It costs a viewer $450 to $750.
I made a video about this a year ago, and I still stand by that. This max deal needs to come together very soon, because I don't know if some fans are going to be willing to pay that much money every single month. I know there are a lot of AEW fans who don't. They don't. People go by the pay-per-view buys. Oh, AEW pay-per-view buys were 100,000. Let me tell you something. Even though like 200,000 people watched AEW, they bought the pay-per-view, I guarantee you, probably the number is actually 300,000, maybe even close to 400,000. but they didn't buy the pay-per-view. I'm just saying.
There's this year.
And the reason why they don't is because it's expensive, bro. You see the way the economy is nowadays? Who's trying to pay $50 every goddamn month? That's a subscription service.
To watch all of.
I'm not subscribed to AEW Plus, and if there's an AEW Plus, it should be $9.99 a month. If I have to watch WWE pay-per-views for $12.99 a month on Peacock, and I'm getting one pay-per-view every single month for $12.99, why on earth should I be paying $50 every 2 months for an AEW pay-per-view? The AEW pay-per-view is going to be good, yeah, no doubt about that, but the WWE pay-per-view is only $12.99. That's damn near a quarter of what I'm paying right now. So, yeah, man. People say, oh, why would you choose WWE or AEW? Look at the price of the pay-per-views, and that might be part of it.
The pay-per-views. That's on top of your internet if you're watching the rest of the shows through like YouTube TV or your cable bill. So the overall cost to watch AEW seems like a lot. Is that normal? Do you guys watch every single pay-per-view then? Are there some pay-per-views that are kind of middle tier that you might skip because of the cost?
I would say, I don't know. I can't speak for everybody. Can't speak for everybody. But I have watched every AEW pay-per-view they have done so far. There may have been 3 that I missed in the 5 years AEW's happened. There may have been 3 that I missed. And there's been like 2 that I skipped. But I've watched every other one they've done in some way, whether it be live, the day after, in increments throughout a week. I've watched every single one they've done. And recently, the only pay-per-view that I completely skipped out on from AEW was Revolution 2023. That was the last one. Every pay-per-view they did after that point, and this year I watched, I just didn't stream it.
Actually not sure if like shows like TNA or New Japan do pay-per-views in this style. Would you prefer AEW to get a deal with a streaming service and kind of have a setup?
Everybody wants this. Trust me, bro. Everybody wants that.
Like
nobody on earth wants to pay $50 a month to watch AEW. They may be okay with it, but no one wants that.
With Peacock and WWE have, or maybe in the Netflix in the future with WWE.
And if you do, you're either rich or stupid.
Would you prefer it?
Or both.
If AEW had some streaming deal with one of the open platforms where you just had to pay a monthly like lower fee, kind of like Peacock and WWE right now. Because even as somebody who thinks they might watch AEW for just the pay-per-views, I think if it's somewhere between 9 and 15 a year, I could see me.
I love how he has a dog cam in the bottom left-hand corner. Like it's such a very specific piece to your video that doesn't have to be there, but it's like, oh shit, I could just literally watch the dog in the corner.
Skipping some because that's just a lot of money, and it might not.
I'm waiting for the dog to give his thoughts on Will Ospreay versus Kyle O'Reilly last week. That's what I'm waiting on.
That'd be a lot of money for everyone. Like that's obviously subjective, but for a lot of people, that's gonna be a ton of money. And I'm not here to argue whether or not you're getting your money's worth. Whether or not you're getting $750 worth of wrestling is up for debate in a totally different conversation.
I mean, I'm not gonna say that the $50 isn't worth it, but who wants to pay $50?
But at the end of the day, that is still a large hurdle for people to watch all of your shows. So really my question is this a format that you prefer? Would you rather it be a streaming service? Do you skip pay-per-views because of this cost racking up so much?
I already answered that question, but like I said, I think everybody prefers it goes to streaming because streaming is what's in nowadays. And do I skip pay-per-views due to the cost? No, I just watch with a friend who paid themselves. If there's a pay-per-view I don't want to pay for, I will literally ask a friend who did buy it, and I'll watch it with them. And I just won't stream it.
Because if it's 50...
Or I'll just skip it that night, and I'll cherry pick the matches I do want to watch the next day until I eventually have watched the whole show.
$1 per pay-per-view.
So, to answer your question, yes, I do. I skip out on paying for them full price. If that answers your question.
And you get 15 in a year on the high end, according to one of the websites. I'm going
to speed up this video a little bit so that way we don't go to like the... Because when people say, oh, 40 minutes, 40... Shut up. Shut up.
mean, that means you're getting sometimes more than one a month. I would not be able to do that for WWE as much as I would love to. I just wouldn't be able to do it, so I'm curious. This next question comes as a result of seeing that Adam Copeland has been injured. I think he broke his tibia after the spot that he did jumping off of the cage. When these older or more veteran wrestlers come over to AEW, I totally understand that the initial reaction is excitement, because if you are someone who doesn't watch the WWE anymore, it is cool that you get to watch someone who you cheered for as Edge come over as Adam Copeland and get to entertain you again. My question is there any level of reaction where it's kind of like you kind of would want them to retire before they hurt themselves?
You coming in with some very heavy questions, brother. But I love that. I love that you're coming in with heavy questions. What is your general reaction to too much older wrestlers being active in AEW? I didn't think we would get to a point where we would be having this conversation, honestly, in AEW. I didn't think we would get to a point in AEW where we're having the conversation about too many older wrestlers being active. But yeah, Chris Jericho, Adam Copeland, Christian Cage. I don't think there's that many, but the older ones are in top spot positions. So my reaction to older wrestlers being active, I mean, some of these guys are having the best runs of their career. Christian Cage is literally having the best run of his entire wrestling career in AEW at 50 years old. So I think mostly it is fine. I am perfectly fine with Adam Copeland coming over to AEW at 51 years old and having his final run. I'm fine with Christian Cage coming over to AEW at 48 and having his final run. I was fine with Chris Jericho coming in at damn near 50 and having his final run, even though I feel like he might have overstayed his welcome. But these guys coming in AEW and having their final runs, or even sometimes even their best runs, I don't have a problem with it. As long as we're not seeing these top guys as AEW World Champion, and we haven't got to that point. Chris Jericho was the first AEW World Champion, but he has not been AEW World Champion since then. He's been overused on TV a lot. The Learning Tree gimmick, it's go away heat with me. But I don't think we're at a point with AEW where the old guard is just overbearing on television. Except for Chris Jericho. I don't think we're at that point. So I'm going to say, I'm fine with it.
Off the top of my head,
can't say I'm enthralled. I'm enthralled with it, but I'm not. I don't hate it.
When I think of the WWE,
I'd say I like it. I just don't love it.
I can't really think of a ton of like really old wrestlers that are still full-time participating. And then I think of AEW, and I know that you had the Hardy Brothers or Hardy Boys. I can't remember if it's brothers or.
AEW is definitely. I mean, WWE is definitely cut down on using older talent since like 2020, which I like.
Boys, it's Jeff and Matt Hardy, and I would see clips of things going wrong with them. I'd see clips of them doing amazing things, and then I would.
Yeah, when they get to the point where they're washed, then it's time to wrap it up. And I think that's when you start seeing the fans online saying this guy's washed, this guy needs to retire. You start seeing that when they're underperforming and when they're sloppily performing. That's when you start to see it. Edge does not sloppily perform, neither does Christian. So I would say if they're doing their best work, you're not gonna really hear complaints out of people.
See some AEW fans,
as long as they're not in like the top spots, and they're not in the top spots. They might be beneath the top spot, but they're not in the top spot.
I assume who were showing concern that like, hey, you know, I love seeing him every week, or I love seeing him at these shows, but I really don't want him to hurt himself. Where is the typical fan reaction there? Is it worth it to you to get that pop and to see these guys that you grew up watching still giving you some shows at the risks of their body, who can't really do it the same way they could when they were younger? Seeing someone like Edge or Adam Copeland jumping off of the cage and straight up snapping his leg. I get that could happen to anyone, by the way, but it's just human anatomy that as you get older, your body gets a little bit weaker, regardless of how well you take care of it. I know they've got guys like Chris Jericho and the guy that was at Double or Nothing with like the funny vampire teeth.
A Vampiro? No, not Vampiro. Oh God, no one crucify me. Gangrel. I only said Vampiro because he said vampire. Okay, so leave me alone. Don't say shit. Don't say shit in comments about that.
When he walked out with Adam Copeland. So the overall question here is, as AEW fans, is seeing all of these older wrestlers
Vampiro,
is that bringing more joy or more worry, or is it just not really your problem? It could be anywhere in there. I find myself when I'm watching matches when they're doing a really dangerous spot, I kind of see myself wincing, or it's not really just a reaction of what's happening, but it's a reaction of I don't want them to get hurt. I don't want them to hurt themselves, at least not to a serious degree. I'm really curious about that one. Now, this last question is kind of a dream, and maybe this is just me being completely naive, so feel free to tell me that. But do you see a day where AEW and WWE cooperate, I should say?
No. I see a day coming where they work and coexist if WWE is like actively pursuing buying them out. But as far as them like working hand in hand and singing Kumbaya the way they're working with TNA, no, I don't see that happening. WWE, they may not want to admit it, but they still see AEW as competition that they want to eliminate. They may not say it out loud, but that is the sentiment. That's what they want. They want AEW going. If there was a world where AEW did not exist versus AEW existing, I'm sure WWE would choose a world where AEW does not exist. Because it makes them have to, let me not get into that. Let me not get into that part.
They have these kind of crossovers.
I'll save that piece for another video.
Like you just saw with WWE and TNA right now. I know AEW works with other companies. I believe you guys told me that it was like Ring of Honor and some others that, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not.
AEW owns Ring of Honor. They don't work with them. They own them. But they do work with TNA. I don't know if they do that anymore because TNA works with WWE, but they have worked with TNA. They work with New Japan. They work with DDT. They work with Stardom. They work with CMLL, AAA. They work with just about everybody that's not Impact right now in WWE.
Not 100% sure like what the crossover rate is over there at AEW either, but that's not really important. What I'm curious about is, do you see there being a day where it doesn't feel like WWE and AEW each are butting heads? Do you see a day where they can equally exist together? You know, throw out the word equal.
I'm sure people in the 1990s has the same question about WWE and WCW, and we see what happened there. So I'm going to say hopefully history does not repeat itself. But no,
there, don't get too attached. I'm not saying like both being at the same level, but more so being able to have some sort of crossover between the two, because I feel like that would just be great for fans. And
nah, I'm gonna say no, and I think I'm gonna cut the video right there. So final verdict. This guy asked some damn great hard-hitting questions, and I want you guys to do me a favor. Go to the video I put in the comments in the description, click on it, watch for yourself, and answer his questions. Like, you don't gotta answer my comments, but go to his video and answer his questions and give your thoughts on his questions, because I genuinely want to see what you guys think. You can put your comments on what you think about me and my thoughts, but if you have your own thoughts, go to his video and comment there, and then I'll read and react and shit. That being said, guys, that was me answering AEW questions for a newer fan. What did you guys think? Comment down below, let me know. I will talk to you guys later. Again, NXT Battleground is tomorrow. I will be watching that live on this channel. AEW Forbidden Door is June 30th. I won't be live streaming it because I will be there, but I'm sure it'll be a damn good show. And if you are going to Forbidden Door and you see me, say what's up. All right, guys. Talk more soon. Peace.
Stop.